Did you know that cities across the U.S. have transformed into massive street parties, not for festivals or national holidays, but for protests? That's right. In a unique blend of celebration and demonstration, the No Kings protests against the drift into authoritarianism under President Donald Trump have brought a party vibe to political activism. Let's dive into how these protests are more than just marches. They're a statement of democracy in action, wrapped in a carnival atmosphere. Across the nation, from the bustling streets of New York City to the serene parks in Atlanta and Chicago, thousands have gathered. Their message? A firm stand against what they perceive as a swift slide toward authoritarian governance. Signs reading, "Nothing is more patriotic than protesting," and "Resist fascism," are not just mere words, but powerful declarations of their commitment to democracy. Interestingly, the Republican Party has labeled these as Hate America rallies. However, the reality on the ground couldn't be more different. With marching bands, signing events for huge banners featuring the preamble of the U.S. Constitution, and a liberal dose of inflatable costumes, particularly frogs, a symbol of resistance in Portland, Oregon, these demonstrations are anything but hateful. The backdrop to these protests is a government shutdown and a test of the core balance of power in the United States. Sean Howard, an Iraq War Marine veteran, expressed his concern over immigration detentions without due process and the deployment of troops in U.S. cities as alarming signs of eroding democracy. For Howard, and many like him, the fight against extremism begins at home. While President Trump spent the weekend at his Mar-a-Lago home, dismissing the protests in a television interview, the demonstrators made their voices heard. In San Francisco, hundreds spelled out "No King" on Ocean Beach, with participants like Haley Wingard, dressed as the Statue of Liberty, expressing their concerns over military interventions in cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland. Portland saw a particularly large turnout, with tens of thousands gathering for a peaceful demonstration that later saw tensions flare at a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement building. This building has been a focal point of protests since June, symbolizing the resistance against federal deployments in the city. The No Kings protests have united people from various backgrounds and cities, drawing in those who have never protested before, and giving hope and a sense of camaraderie to those in places where support for Trump is strong. Democratic leaders, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Bernie Sanders, have lent their voices, emphasizing the importance of unity and action against the administration's policies. Republicans, on the other hand, have criticized the protests, with House Speaker Mike Johnson calling on the public to watch what he termed the Hate America rally. This stark contrast in perspectives highlights the deep divisions within the country, yet also the protesters' determination to meet opposition with humor and solidarity. As the government shutdown extends into its 18th day, the protests serve as a reminder of the resilience of the American spirit. The No Kings movement, with its blend of festivity and fervor, underscores a critical message: democracy thrives on active participation and the freedom to dissent. In conclusion, the No Kings protests are a vivid illustration of democracy in action. They remind us that in times of division and uncertainty, the spirit of the American people, expressed through music, laughter, and a shared commitment to freedom, remains unbroken. As we've seen, when voices come together, they can transform the streets into parties, and protests into powerful agents of change. Remember, in the heart of democracy, there's always room for a street party. And so, as the sun sets on these gatherings, it rises on a nation reminded of its strength, its diversity, and its unwavering pursuit of liberty and justice for all.